name is Brad Muniz. I'm a partner at Sobel & Company, and I would like to welcome you to Sobel Insights. Sobel Insights is a weekly series where we provide some brief information on various topics. Our goal is to keep these sessions to 15 minutes. At this time, we do not provide CPE, but if we do move into the nano CPE, we'll be sure to start awarding credits. If you have any topics, any ideas for topics or speakers, feel free to reach out to me. Our topic today is really an extremely hot topic. It's the vaccinations in the workplace. We have Vanessa Kelly here who's with a member of the firm with Clark Hill. She works at the Princeton in New York office, and she handles labor and employment relations. So she is very well versed in this area, and this is an extremely hot topic. And Vanessa, I'm going to jump right into it. This is something that first ones that everybody wants to know, in addition to the other questions I have. Can employers mandate vaccines as a precondition to return to work?
Hi, Brad. First, I just want to say thank you to you and to Sobel for having me come on today and have an opportunity to speak to your constituents on this. The short answer to this question is yes. Employers can mandate that vaccines be had as a precondition to returning to work. Under OSHA, which is the federal statute, and states like New Jersey may have many OSHA statutes, employers are required to have safe workplaces. And COVID has been deemed to be a direct threat to the health and safety of workers. So employers can, and some do, mandate vaccines as a way to protect the health and welfare of their employees.
Yeah, and now I had heard originally Jeff Peskin in our office sent out an article back in December, you know, some little article. We're not lawyers, saying that they can mandate it, and then all of a sudden we heard they can't mandate it, and then all of a sudden I see Rutgers, I believe it's Rutgers, and is it Montclair? One of the other state colleges is going to be requiring students to have it, and I think Stevens Institute Technology is going to be requiring even staff to have it. And I said, if these institutions can do it, I imagine employers. So you're verifying that. If you're going to institute it, I anticipate I know what your answer is going to be. Should you have a program that designed that for the mandate?
I recommend, whether employers mandate it or not, that they do have a vaccine program. So I should say that, you know, if an employer is going to mandate vaccines as a precondition to returning to work, they need to be prepared to make accommodations for employees who either for medical reasons or religious reasons can't be vaccinated. They should have a program so that it's administered fairly and equitably, and everyone knows what they're doing. You know, for instance, even though people are vaccinated, the CDC is recommending that people still wear masks in indoor settings. And so there may also be guidelines that the states impose that you need to follow. So it's important to have an integrated program about how you're going to deal with the vaccine issue. Some employers have chosen to educate their employees. They're not mandating the vaccine, but they're, you know, strongly suggesting that everybody be vaccinated. And so as part of their return, you know, their program, they are suggesting that employees listen to a short video educating them on what the vaccine does or doesn't do, you know, just sort of the ins and outs of it. Some employers who've had very effective adherence to the voluntary program have even gone so far as to have the CEO put a little video together saying, here's why I think everyone should be vaccinated. And so the communication has been a really big piece of it. And it's very important during this whole COVID nightmare that employers keep the communication lines open with their employees.
I know one organization, what they did, rather than have the owners talk about it, because they felt the employees were going to think, well, they're just being self-serving. They actually had a medical professional or an immunologist, I guess, professional come on to answer questions or give a presentation, then answer some questions. That way they felt, the employees felt that it was a little bit more, you know, impartial.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a great idea.
yeah,
Good
thank
idea.
good. That's a good recommendation for people from the attorneys. Um, so you had mentioned medical and religious objections, and I've heard about them, but I'm hearing more about people that have general concerns. And yes, there are the fringe people, the fringe side of parties that are like, they're just trying to, do something to me, put trackers in me. Well, okay, so ignoring the people with the tinfoil on their head.
Right.
There are people though that just have some general concerns. It's like have this nervous or anxiety, want to be mothers, just say, I just don't know if I feel safe. What should people do or employers do in those situations?
Well, definitely you have to accommodate if there's a medical reason, and just be careful because you don't want to inquire too much. If someone says they have a medical reason, you can require some documentation from the healthcare provider that just says they have a medical issue that they can't take the vaccine. End of subject. If someone has a religious objection, pretty much take them at their word. You don't get to decide whether it's a recognized religion, are they Catholic, and Catholics are saying don't take the J&J, whatever. You don't get to inquire about that. As long as it's a sincerely held religious belief, you need to accommodate that. The question you posed was, what if somebody's just anxious and fearful about it? Because I've heard a lot of objection because it was passed by the FDA as an emergency measure. So some people are like, well, maybe it didn't go through a stringent testing that otherwise would have done. So I think employers can educate as best they can. What we just talked about, the communication program, have them talk to their healthcare provider. If it's a mandatory program, then you've got some tough choices to make. Right. I would really caution employers not to just hit that terminate button before they really, really look at it. And one of the biggest things is going to be, can they really work remotely? If they've been successfully working remotely, they're afraid to get the vaccine, you're requiring it for everyone. Do you really want to be that inflexible? As everyone has seen, this past year has required everyone to be flexible. Employers, just shopping in the grocery store, you got to be flexible.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So if a company is going to require vaccinations, can the employer require proof that people are vaccinated?
Yeah, that's an easy question too. That one is yes, you can require proof. The vaccination is not considered a medical test where it would have HIPAA issues or ADA issues or genetic information, privacy issues. So you can ask for documentation to do that. Just make sure, again, you're being uniform and having all employees do it. Again, if an employee is letting you know that they can't have it for a medical reason, that's where you draw the line. You can get documentation, but don't inquire to, what are the ins and outs, why you couldn't do it. So. Right.
Would it be just as easy for us, instead of have a scarlet letter, maybe a violet letter that we can wear?
We've been hearing about vaccine shaming, so I wouldn't necessarily put that big V on there. We've also heard about COVID shaming. If employees get COVID, it's like, oh, they must have been reckless, and having parties and traveling and seeing relatives. Again, people, just use your common sense. This is a pandemic. Nobody knows for sure how anybody got it. So many people walk around with it and are asymptomatic. We just don't know. So no scarlet letters here.
And no scar. I was going violet because I was going with the purple V for the vaccine. So
there you go. There you go.
I was trying.
That's good.
Yeah,
but if I hear you're having your employees do that, we're going to have a chat there, Brad.
Okay, that's fine. The colors are clashing with their outfit, so that's going to be the problem. But I anticipated something was going to happen because I went to Florida. And, I said to my wife, should we be bringing our vaccine cards with us? And she's like, why? I said, I don't know. I don't know if the plane is going to require it at some point. And all of a sudden we're in Florida and like, we need to see your vaccine card. And, or I'm going into Disney. Do I need to go there? Is a hotel going to want it? I said, let's just bring a copy. So That's why I said about the violet V.
Right.
Can an employer offer incentives for people to be vaccinated though?
Yeah, this question was sort of a hot topic as just a few weeks ago. The EEOC had a guidance on incentives because basically the vaccine would be looked at as almost like a wellness program. And so for wellness programs to be permissible, they can't be coercive. So, and the reason why you need them to be truly voluntary is so that you don't run afoul of ADA and the Genetic Information Privacy Act and all those kinds of good things. So if something is too rich of a benefit, then it's not deemed to be truly voluntary. It's more coercive. So there was guidance on there that gave some examples about what's too coercive, like an employer paying for someone's gym membership was deemed to be too rich of a benefit and more coercive. But that guidance was recently taken back to allow the new administration to come up with their own guidance. And in the meantime, we have a federal act now, the American Rescue Plan, that provides employers with tax credits if they give their employees paid leave to have time away from the office to get the vaccine or to recover from any side effects. So the employers can get a tax credit from that. Some states are requiring paid leave for purposes of getting the vaccine, like New York and California. Illinois said that employers should be giving their employees whatever paid leave is available for it. And of course, in New Jersey, we've got paid sick leave. So if an employee has time on that, the CDC is recommending that employers be as flexible as possible so that we encourage employees to get vaccinated. So certainly paying for them when they're away getting vaccinated is a great idea. The CDC is also, suggesting that employers make it nice and easy. And even President Biden said that in his recent remarks, that employers should really be trying to facilitate getting vaccines. So if that means having a clinic at a large scale, employer, things like that. So I would think a modest incentive, like a Starbucks, coffee card or, something like that would certainly be fine. And certainly I think paying somebody for the time away to either recover from a side effect or to actually take the vaccine is money well spent for employers.
That's great. What I fear is going to happen from all of this is that you're going to have people that don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason. And they're going to have people that are vaccinated and they're going to say, we're not in a safe, the environment isn't safe because these people are vaccinated. They're kind of roaming around and I don't, I'm not vaccinated, so I don't feel safe anymore. And you're creating a hostile or unsafe work environment, or you're not giving me an incentive because I don't get the extra Starbucks card, that hefty Starbucks card because I'm not getting the vaccine. But anybody can claim anything, You're not creating a safe environment by requiring people to get vaccinated. People can argue it either way. It's the lawyers.
Oh, sure, blame it on us. Sure.
Well, our accountants, we have to point someplace else. Is there going to be mandates, do you feel, or is it proper for companies to be requiring people to be wearing masks?
Well, companies have been requiring people to wear masks. New Jersey, we've got definite things that we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be doing the pre-screening, the health screening, the tests, social distancing, frequent washing of high touch or common surfaces, mask wearing, all of that stuff. And just because we're getting vaccines right now, the governor has not lifted his executive order. So keep that in mind, that all these other requirements are in place for New Jersey employers. And the same thing with, other states. You got to really look at what your current mandates are. And this all goes down to the duty to provide a safe environment, which is, federal and state required for employers. So we really, this is why we recommend these plans that we talked about, have a return to work plan, have a vaccine plan. And, it's great to have a plan, but you got to communicate it to your employees, and then you got to enforce it. So if you say that exiting and entering the building, you have to have masks on, then your employees have to have masks. If you have a limitation on sitting around in the little cafe or the kitchen you have, make sure you're enforcing that. So I still think, look at the CDC guidance. The CDC just put out some guidance on when is a person considered fully vaccinated. It's 14 days after the second dose of the Pfizer or Moderna, 14 days after the single dose. And then it says there are some safe activities that people can return to if they're fully vaccinated. And, one of them is you can exercise outside without a mask on, as long as you're not in a crowd. Then you should still wear a mask if you're in a crowd. If you're with people who are not vaccinated and you're indoors, the recommendation is to wear the mask. And that, if you want to socialize with a small group and everybody's been vaccinated, then you can forego it. So I think employers need to understand that not all their employees are going to get vaccinated, and then you plan for it. And if someone gets upset because they have to wear a mask and the other person, well, that was their choice. Their choice was not to get vaccinated, and we need to keep everybody safe.
Right. So you said right at the end, you were discussing, and I came up with 3 C's: create the plan, communicate the plan, and consistently apply the plan.
Absolutely.
And so those are my 3 C's that I came up with just from listening to you. And I don't recommend anybody try and do this on their own. Talk with an attorney about it, because if you create a plan, you're going to probably on your own, you're going to probably miss something. We're not attorneys here. I strongly recommend that you reach out to Vanessa and her contemporaries at Clark Hill. We've worked with them over the years, and they've been very helpful in giving us guidance, giving our clients guidance. So Vanessa, I want to thank you very much for even this brief information. There's so much deeper and more that we can go into. I mean, we've had 14 months, 13 months of this. So I've got 13 months of questions for you.
Well, it's incredible, because it's just hard to keep up with everything. The guidance from whether it's the EEOC or the CDC or your health department, it's changing all the time. So it's a full-time job to stay on top of it. So thank you for suggesting that employers do reach out, because everybody's trying to run their business. This is my business. So thanks, and was happy to be here with you.
I like that phrase. Everybody run your business. This is my business. I'm here to advise you. I advise, you decide. There.
That's it. That's it.
Great. I want to thank everybody for listening in. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to Vanessa. Get the advice and the counsel that you probably need from the proper sources. Thank you very much for attending today.
Thanks, Brad.